Hello and welcome to The Long Way Forward with Brian. This is episode 8. The topic of this episode is celebrate success. Celebrating success is the fuel that many people forget. Now, if you've been following the journey with me from the early episodes, if you haven't, I highly recommend you go back and start at episode 1 because that really is where it all begins. We set out the foundation. And if you have, thanks for staying with me. So if you've been following this journey from the early episodes, you will have noticed a pattern forming. We started, as I've said, with foundations, then alignment, perseverance, once you've got that alignment, knowing your numbers, so you know whether you're getting better or not. And today, we're talking about something that quietly ties all of those together, celebrating success. Because what is life for if you don't enjoy your success? That's one of my many philosophies anyway. Now, if you're finding value in these conversations, please subscribe now, because the next episodes will show you how to turn progress into long-term momentum, not just short bursts of motivation. When people hear celebrate success, they sometimes think that it sounds soft or weak, like a reward after the real work is done and everybody stops and rests and then nothing happens. But experience, real world experience, has taught me something very different. Celebration is not the opposite of discipline. It's what sustains it. We all need rewards every now and then. Just be mindful though. This is something that I call the high performer trap. Many high performers are wired the same way. You hit a goal, instead of stopping, you move straight to the next target. No pause, like the Terminator. No acknowledgement, just, okay, what's next? Let's get to it. Now, I know this pattern well, and it feels productive because on paper you're delivering. But over time, it creates a problem. Because when you never celebrate, you're never acknowledging progress. And if you're not acknowledging progress, whether it be yours or those around you, effort starts to feel endless. Wins just feel normal and they lose meaning. And slowly, over time, your motivation fades. You start feeling like you're working hard, but not seeing a reward. And that's dangerous because the human brain needs reinforcement. The human brain responds to pleasure and reward. Now, in the real world, here's some perspective. I want you to think back to the early stages of your career. I'm thinking back to mine, but you think back to yours. Whenever you landed that first sale, you finished that big project, finished that degree, you got recognized for success and an effort. Those moments matter. And you remember them, don't you? I know I do. It's only a hunk of glass with something engraved on it, but I remember it. They tell your brain, these moments, they tell your brain, this is working, keep going. Now, imagine never letting yourself feel that reward. No dopamine hit for you, just back to work. Eventually, that workload will wear you down. It becomes heavy. Know this. Celebration is feedback. It's feedback to yourself, or if you're helping a team member develop, celebrate their success. They're wired the same way. Celebrate successes of yourself and your team around you. It's really important. It's not about ego. Celebration is about feedback. Now you see, remember, in episode 7, the last one, we talked about numbers. We talked about knowing your numbers, and from that, knowing where you're succeeding. Numbers show you progress, and they show it logically. Celebration helps you feel it emotionally. It connects a reward to success. And you've got to have both, because logic will keep you going. Emotion and feeling good keeps you wanting to go. Now here is a mentor insight from me to you. And it's something I learned over time. I learned it the hard way. I'm sharing it with you for free now. I hope you get something from it. The people who sustain high performance aren't the harshest on themselves. They're often the ones who recognize progress early and often. They don't wait for massive milestones. They acknowledge small wins, because small wins compound into identity. Let's think about this. If you were going to build a brick wall, it's one brick at a time, isn't it? Thousands of them, one after the other. Every now and then, if you watch a bricklayer working, you'll see them stop, sit back, look, and smile. You might think they're taking stock. You might think they're checking for accuracy. But a fair chunk of the time, they're just sitting back with pride and going, look, I built that. It looks great. And so they should. Small wins compound into identity, building that wall one brick at a time. You want another real-world example? Of course you do. Let's go. Let's go back to those early sales days of mine. After a long day knocking on doors, sometimes I'd come back with one sale. Just one. Now, I could have focused on the 99 rejections. Instead, I learned to recognize the win. Not in a loud way, but internally. Because that one sale meant what I was doing, my process, worked. It meant that my customers had accepted me. And that mattered to me, being accepted, having my processes work. It mattered so much. It absolutely left the 99 rejections in the dust. Now remember, celebration doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be recognizing consistency for a week, congratulating yourself on finishing something you usually avoid. I think we've all got something like that in our life. Showing restraint where you normally react. Even something as simple as saying no to that beer because you're trying to give up. Sticking to your standards in a tough moment. These are all wins. No one else will see them, but if you ignore them, who does? And the only person missing out is you, because you miss that reward fuel for your brain. You miss that emotional, well done, mate, and you deserve it. Now, on that, got to be careful. There is a difference between celebration and complacency. Celebrating a success doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean stopping there. It doesn't mean resting on your laurels. It means you're acknowledging your process, patting yourself or your co-workers on the back and going, well done, but at the same time, moving forward shortly after that, much the same way that a climber pauses on a ledge before carrying on up the mountain. They enjoy the view, they say, well done, we've still got a way to go. And off we go, but you celebrate that success. Think of it like taking a breath between effort. Not stopping the journey, just recognizing how far you've come and that you're still moving. Here's this week's exercise. I know you're waiting for it, so here it is. Here's something I'd like you to try this week. At the end of your day, ask yourself, what went well today? I can think of one thing that went well today. I can think of two things that went well today in my world. I had a business meeting and it went well. And I had a presentation and a training session with one of my team. I think they got more from it than I did. I'll call that a win. It went well. My day didn't go completely well, but those two things did. I'm human, just like you. So tell me, what went well today? Just one thing. Write it down. It doesn't need to be huge. The goal is to train your mind to see progress. And over time, this changes how effort feels. Imagine if you wrote down one success every day in a list, and then you came back to that list in, say, a month. And if it's just one thing every working day, you've got 20 wins to look at. How awesome is that? How good is that for motivation? And you can see those wins changing along the way, by the way, because you level up. We're not talking Super Mario here, we're talking life. You are getting better at whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and doing that is a nice way of watching that leveling up process. It's super motivating. And when you start celebrating progress, something else happens. You become a lot more resilient. Now, resilient, if you're not sure what it means the ability to take a setback and roll with it, not worry about it. Setbacks don't hurt as much because your brain has evidence that your progress exists. Have you ever heard the saying 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Yeah, sure, that's true. But from that, guess what? You've moved forward. You've still moved forward. I don't care about the step back. On balance, you've moved forward. Momentum continues and it stops feeling fragile because you can see the momentum. You can see the forward movement. You can see the activity and the result. It is concrete. Now let's connect this back to alignment. Now, if you haven't listened to the alignment segment, please subscribe. Go back to episode 1 and episode 2 because that's when we talk about values and planning and alignment and foundations. Let's connect celebrating a success with alignment. Now, when you live according to what you stand for, those are the values we recognized earlier. When you live according to what you stand for and you acknowledge those moments of success, confidence grows quietly because the successes will generally align with things that you stand for. It's a massive compliment. No loud confidence, just steady, self-assured confidence. The kind that comes from recognizing your own growth and knowing your own worth. Now, in the next episode, we're going to look at something that takes celebration just one step further: reflection. Because celebrating progress is powerful, but understanding why something worked is what turns experience into real self-improvement. High performance, remember, isn't just about pushing harder or working harder. It's about knowing when to acknowledge that you're moving in the right direction. Celebrate the small wins. They are the fuel that keeps you going long enough between the wins to build something bigger. This is the long way forward. If you enjoyed my podcast, don't forget to subscribe for the full story. Thanks for listening in, and I hope to see you again in another episode.